And I think that for a lot of us, it's a sense of duty. Like I promised God, I
Mm,
promised my family, I promised literally everyone, I promised myself that I would figure this out no matter what.
mm,
And
mm,
so you think that staying around means that you are doing everything that you can. And I think what I learned over time is that that's not the case, actually, because staying is one thing.
mm,
Staying and being active in figuring out what the problems are and being active in the solutions is something completely different. And
mm.
I think I will speak for myself in this. And I've, talked to other men who have been divorced as well. A lot of us stayed around and but we were not present mentally and emotionally and physically we're in the house with them and we're handling the business, like we're helping with the kids, we're doing all the things, but we're not connected and we're not together. And I think a lot of women end up feeling lonely and feeling like they're on their own. And so, although men, we do stay a lot, I don't know if we're all as active as we actually need to be in coming with the solutions for what's going on. And I also don't think that we have necessarily been empowered enough to be told that if something is going wrong, that you need to be the catalyst for change. And that also, if something is going wrong and the other person doesn't want to fix it, it's okay to pause. It's okay to separate. It's okay to, make certain moves. For us, it's always kind of been like, be the man, be stoic.
Mm,
That's it,
yeah.
you know?
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting because I remember going through my divorce and I was talking to a pastor friend of mine, and he
Mm,
said, Sean, you're just loyal to a fault. Like
mm,
you sticking around and basically you know it's over,
yeah,
but you just trying to make it work. And like you said, that God factor, you just
mm,
like, oh, God hates divorce, and
yeah,
but what is life going to look like on the other side for me as a man? And
yeah.
um,
I
and
was afraid too. Like, what does life look like on the other side of this? What do I tell my children? You know,
yeah,
my parents were divorced. I promised myself as a kid I would do everything I could to never have to deal with the same thing, and here we are. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And who walks down the aisle thinking that we're going to get
right,
divorced?
right,
That's never the goal. Uh,
exactly.
and I remember telling, because we had a blended family. My ex-wife had a son before, we were together, and we had our daughter together. And I remember us sitting in we was like in the living room, and we just broke the news to them, and they was just crying, like, but we told them at the time we were just gonna separate, not divorce.
Yeah,
And they was just like I can still see that image of the way they looked even as I talk to you. And I
hmm
was just like, I just thought that that would never happen.
hmm
And even after the separation, it's less like we tried to make it work again,
right,
and it just didn't work. It was just like,
hmm
let's just call it quits. And I filed for divorce,
mm That's
so
good. I mean, that's good that you felt that you were strong enough to even be able to do that, man.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was nervous about that, but I was like, I have to do this.
hmm
Uh,
Was there any concern on your end of perception of you being the one to file?
Yeah, man. And I think that's why I stayed in a marriage as long as I did, because I was playing this in my head thinking, because being Christian, you're in the church world. Here I am mentoring marriages and families, and
Right.
I'm known in the church world, and I'm just thinking like, how is it that I'm mentoring these marriages, and here it is, I'm getting a divorce.
Right.
So I tried to stay,
That's heavy. Yeah.
yeah, trying to save face and try to smile. And it was bad. But I believe one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I would never talk bad about my ex-wife, but that gave me the courage to say that I can do anything
hmm
after filing for divorce to actually take that step on my own.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So while married, did you both did you both seek therapy? And if so, was there ever an aha moment for you in therapy?
hmm so I'm someone that's very like used to therapy. It's my mom brought me to therapy when my parents were getting divorced as a kid. And so I have gone to therapy. We did go to therapy together. We went to pre-engagement counseling,
Mhm.
premarital counseling, and then I think it really slowed down once we got married, you know,
Mhm.
because now we have the conversations about nurturing the marriage. Go to therapy so you don't need it. Go to therapy to help avoid that. You know, have that third party that can just listen to you,
Mhm.
you guys, and keep you on the straight and narrow. And I think that there were times that we did go. There were times I went individually. Sometimes she went individually. But I do think at some point it was almost like too late for that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
I did have an aha moment more so when we did our last bout of couples therapy. This was in like that 10-month range I was telling you about before when I knew it like it was probably going to be over, but we were in couples therapy.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of aha moments then. And most of those aha moments, honestly, were based on childhood traumas, learning about attachment theories,
Mhm.
attachment styles,
Mhm.
um, just really unpacking a lot of the unhealthy mental health issues that I'd had. I was diagnosed with ADHD like a year before that.
Mhm.
And so that really answered a lot of questions. And so those aha moments have absolutely changed the trajectory for my life
Mhm.
individually. And I think for our lives now, because we still interact regularly because of the kids. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And for the better completely. It had to go through a lot of bad,
Mhm.
but coming out on the other end of things, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, my aha moment was actually my ex-wife and I, we had a conversation. I remember we're separated and we had a talk and I asked her, I was like, moving forward, what do you think I could just do better as an individual, you know?
Mm.
And she was just like, you're selfish. I was like, dang, just like, you're selfish. And she said that I was emotionally unavailable.
Mm. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And looking back, and it helped me to be a better husband now because I remarried.
right.
But back then, I just couldn't see it.
Just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see it. I don't, and I literally, when you said it just now, it was kind of refreshing because that's literally what I always say. I just couldn't see it. I don't know. There's no other way to really kind of explain it. You know, I think what marriage did for me is it unlocked a whole new layer of like self discovery, self actualization, and just really when you're with someone who sees you day in and day out, they see all of you and they see the things that you don't want to face about yourself.
Mhm.
Ooh. That one, that one hurts, man, because they're telling you things about yourself that sometimes you know and you've been trying to hide for a long time. And so when they see the bare you, it can just be a lot to deal with. And I can be honest now and say that I wasn't ready to hear a lot of that feedback. I was not. I wasn't ready. It didn't make sense to me. You know, I was the guy who had been to therapy as a kid. I was the guy who I'd always been told I communicated more than any other guy, any other person. I had always been that man who showed up better than most other men from the women, from my conversations.
Mhm.
But I had also never been with any of these women 24/7, 365. I didn't marry any of those women. So they only got to see that one side. And when you only have to keep things on the surface, when it's time to go deeper, and now you're in this uncharted territory of actually having to show up differently as a man, as a husband, and needing that emotional assistance too. It's just this whole other dynamic that a brother was not ready for. There was the training. I missed that manual. I missed that training. And so I think that it was a life experience now. But I'm making sure that my kids are going to be in such a better space,
Mhm.
you know? And so I'm thankful for it from that standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because of course, when it comes to dating, and I'm just using this, I'm just saying, but a lot of times
Right.
dating is 10 feet wide, but 6
Mm-hmm.
inches deep.
Right.
You get married,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, it all comes out because they with
Yeah.
you day in and day out, and then they see things that you can't see. But I do believe that's the beauty in marriage too, that if you're willing and open. See, I know for me, I wasn't willing and open. I thought I was.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized it was only after it all ended, and I had to literally sit with myself and was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you need to tighten some stuff up
Yep.
for real." What was your after the divorce? What was your biggest takeaway? Like, what did all of this teach you?
It's so many things. I really feel like